Welcome, everyone, to the Transformation Nurse Academy podcast. This is our weekly episode, Talk with Kevin, where we cover topics for all nursing fields with extra emphasis on emergency and critical nursing. Get ready for candid discussions that explore the vast landscape of nursing and beyond.
This is the Transformation Nurse Academy podcast. I got a special treat today. We got two fucking Kevins. We need more Kevins in the world of shit. So it's my pleasure to introduce Kevin Gibson, the boot nurse. I don't know what the hell that means, the boot nurse. I thought he was going to be the boot camp nurse and bust my balls and shit. But so explain what is it? Tell us who you are, Kevin, and what is the boot nurse? What does that mean?
All right. Well, first of all, you're right. We do need a lot more Kevins in the world. You know, fun fact that Kevin means handsome. And you got two handsome ass dudes here, so y'all need to really tap into what we got going on.
It also means kind and gentle.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah,
we're working on that a lot. I've actually worked on that quite a bit.
Yeah, so. I know, me too. I got you.
But yeah. So first of all, I appreciate you having me on the show. I love to jump out here and spread the knowledge and right now walk in the purpose that God has set up for me, and that is to help as many nurses get past that NCLEX so they can go out here and take care of God's people. And that's what we want. But the boot nurse, essentially, it kind of has a twofold. It came from the fact, first off, we're both military. We both have a military background. I was in the Navy for 16 and a half years. And there's always somebody that's a hater, man. There's always somebody that's a hater. But I'd rather somebody who's been in the service be a hater than somebody who's never laced up a pair of boots to talk to me like they've done lost their mind. So, but I was in the Navy for 16 and a half years. And one of the biggest terms that we use for new accessions or new people that come into the field, we call them boots. And so I was wrapping my head around when I first started doing this entrepreneurial journey and coaching. And I was just like, man, what do I want to call myself? I was a hospital corpsman in the Navy. So I said, man, do I want to be called the corpsman nurse or the corpsman nurse or the nurse? Yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to, everybody's trying to put a little spice on it.
Right.
And so I was just like, man, I'm a boot. And then I remember when I went on my second deployment, we had a brand new nurse that we called a boot to her face.
Oh, shit.
And she got so mad at us. And I was like, hey, bro, it is what it is. If you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. It's okay. And so that kind of stuck with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm a boot nurse because I am a boot nurse. And we all are boot nurses because we are all learning new things every day. Not one nurse knows. If I took an ICU nurse and I went and I put her in a pediatric ICU, it's totally different ballgame.
Right.
Or if I put somebody that's in med surg and stick them in the operating room, what?
Right.
So we're always learning new stuff every day. So that's where the whole term boot comes from. And then secondly, for those individuals who have not been in the military, one of the biggest things that they recognize besides the uniform are the military boots. So, like when I say the boot nurse, people are just like, oh, maybe it has something to be associated with the military. Maybe he's a military guy. He's a nurse. Maybe so it kind of gets the gears turning for the people that are not familiar with military terms.
Yeah, I like that. No, I like that. It's good. All right, so I'm gonna deviate from the questions I wrote down just for a second. I'm gonna wade into a topic, and you don't have to answer.
Yeah.
But I love this. Now, don't be mad, man, but I'm going to ask this because you're a black man and you're a nurse. This damn controversy in the last week with fucking Michael Strahan.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm saying this fucking name right, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Michael Strahan, Hall of Famer football player?
Because he didn't put his damn hand over his heart during the fucking pledge. I don't even know what the hell they were playing. I don't even know what the hell they were doing, but that shit makes me... Oh, you don't know about that?
I don't know about that. Please educate me.
So he was on a Navy ship. His dad was a major in the Army. Don't quote me. Y'all have to look your own damn homework up. But he was on Veterans Day and shit. He was on the Navy ship and they were playing the national anthem or some damn song with a pledge. I don't know, to be honest, but they were bitching because he didn't put his hand over his heart. And I'm telling you this, I'm not joking. Like I spent 12 years in the Army. I did tours in Iraq. I don't give a fucking shit if somebody doesn't put their hand over their heart. He was standing. He was on a ship with Navy soldiers. What the fuck do you people do that you don't? I mean, what do you do to support veterans? At least he was there. That it just makes me mad because they're trying to make him look like a buffoon. But I don't like that shit because I don't put my hand on my heart either. When I know it may be wrong, but I don't. When I go to football games and they play the national anthem, I take my hat off, I stand up, but I am not putting my hand over my heart. I did my damn time. I ain't got to do that stupid shit. So,
well, so
and you might feel different, and
right?
it's okay. So
so it's actually really funny because anytime the national anthem comes on, I have to refrain myself from saluting because that's usually what I was doing. So even like to this day, I'm just like, wait, what am I doing? Let me fix that. I don't wear hats, so I don't ever take my hat off. I do put my hand over my heart because I do understand, as somebody who was in the service, I understand who that is for. It's for those individuals who aren't there with us anymore, who paved the way for us to be even to make a decision like that. Like we can go back to the Colin Kaepernick thing where people were just like, he's doing this, and I was just like, well, that's essentially what the
whole purpose we served.
It's what we're founded upon is for people to be allowed to do those things.
Yeah.
And so for the fact that Michael Strahan was on a Navy ship with sailors, Marines, airmen, whoever were there, and didn't put his hand over his heart. It's just another part of media propaganda for them to just be like, oh, you're disrespecting our veterans and yada yada yada. Listen, you're not in anybody's cemetery, destroying their graves. You're not burning the American flag. You're not, openly saying and being rude and disrespectful to Gold Star moms and families.
Right.
Like, you're not being disrespectful in any type of way by not putting your hand over your heart. Those things don't bother me. It's the fact that you can recognize, who a veteran is, thank them for their service. I don't know, take them out to lunch. I don't know, recognize if they're having a mental health crisis, and helping them,
that's a big one,
funding or being a part of or volunteering your time to, veteran ran organizations like nonprofits for homeless people or for homeless veterans or anything like that. Like those are the things that matter, but those are the things that don't get broadcast. So for the fact that we're talking about him not putting his hand over his heart, the media needs to get over themselves.
That's what I said. I told him, just shut the hell up and leave the guy alone already. Are you on the damn ship with them? Like, all right, that's good. I appreciate that. No, but I do. That shit drives me crazy because that's what you and I did. We served so people can have the right to do whatever the hell they want to do. I don't really get offended by shit. So
no, like neither do I. not anymore. Like it used to be. I guess it used to be one of those things where I got offended. I was just like, bro, who are you talking to? There was one girl. I remember when I was an instructor for I was a surge tech instructor, and I had my students at a hospital, and some random girl who, felt very entitled because her daddy was a Marine, but she had never laced up a pair of boots, and her granddaddy was a soldier. She was talking about the Air Force, and she said a lot of choice words about the Air Force. And I looked at her and I was just like, oh, are you in the Air Force? And she's just like, no. And I was just like, are you in the service at all? She's just like, no. And I was like, then who are you?
Right.
I was like, then who are you to drop in to do an opinion? I was like, you can tell me about what it's like to be a spouse. You can tell me what it's like to be, but until the day you lace up a pair of boots,
shut the hell up.
What the mental aspect that does. Not saying that anybody else doesn't, feel some type of way about their position for being married to somebody or being their kid. But until the day that you make that conscious decision to lace up a pair of boots and know that at any point in time you can be in somebody else's country fighting a war that you may or may not agree with, I'm gonna need for you to take several seats and take several steps back. But I did not say it that way.
I know you're so nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Old Kevin came out.
Listen. And he didn't like me after that, but I was just like, those are my brothers and sisters.
Right.
I was like, I can do that.
Right.
You can't do that.
I know, people don't understand it. Even though we're in different branches and we bust each other's chops, we still love each other because we know what we all been through. We know what we did to help each other survive and stuff. So that's true.
Absolutely. And I still stand by that.
There was I don't know if you know, but it was it's on the coast of California. California, we're a little different out here and shit.
Yeah. I was there. I lived there for a year when I was in Surge Tech school. So I know a little bit about it.
I think it was in, it's an Army base, Fort Ord. I can't remember Monterey. It's out by Monterey.
Okay.
and my daughter had a gym meet and stuff, and my brother was in the Marines, and my dad was in the Marines. But they gave me a shirt, and it says Marines on it, but it's in the shape of a AR-15 or some kind of rifle and shit.
Okay.
And I was wearing it. I didn't even think twice about it. But this old lady walked up to me. I can't believe you're gonna wear this damn shirt with the gun. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I just let her yell. I just let her yell at me. And I said, "You're welcome." "What do you mean you're welcome?" I said, "I'm the one who served for you to fucking sit here and yell at me. I fought for your right to yell at me. But you're welcome." I said, "You don't even know what people go through." I said, "You're lucky that you came to this guy, because there could have been somebody else who could have beat the shit out of you."
Yeah.
I said, you don't just go at the people and yell at them just because you think you have the right.
Yeah.
I said, that's how you get hurt and shit.
And that's where people have the very misconception.
Yeah.
And the misunderstanding when it comes to free speech. It's just like the moment that your free speech impedes on the freedom of someone else, it's no longer free.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need for people to recognize that.
Right. Because if you just walk up to somebody and start talking smack and you get smacked, that's your damn fault. Because you got to know your place. Like, don't be crazy. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm not even that stupid.
Right. I'm just like,
right.
I don't know what that dude got going on.
Right.
I'm gonna stay over here.
I'm gonna mind my business. Right.
Let's start getting crazy, bro.
All right. All right. So I have questions that I wrote out for you, and I appreciate that you thought they were good questions. So, can you share a little bit about your background, besides being in the military, and then what led you to become an NCLEX coach? And I know this sounds crazy, but tell everybody what the word NCLEX, NCLEX means, because some people may or may not know.
Okay. Well, NCLEX stands for National Council Licensure Examination, specifically for registered nurses and licensed practical nurses. So that's where NCLEX, or what we call NCLEX. A little bit about my background, of course. Like I said, I was already in the military for 16 and a half years. I actually started my nursing journey while I was on active duty. I got my nursing degree while I was on active duty. So I went to nursing school and got my nursing license while I was still active duty in the Navy. But a fun fact about that is I failed my NCLEX 3 times. Everything from, work and, family issues to, PCS moves, which about, and PCS moves, like we're transferring from one command or one base to another base. And, there was just a lot of just life problems that were going on at that point. To eventually to where I ended up passing right when COVID had broke out in 2020. I got my license in June of 2020. And, it was that day I had said to myself, the moment that I get my license, I am going to teach people how to not go through the things that I went through.
Right.
I actually have an education background. I actually became a Navy instructor in 2015. And then I got my master training, or my master instructor about a year later. So from 2016. And I taught everything from advanced burn life support. I was a BLS instructor. I taught TNC. I was a TNCC instructor. I was a TCCC instructor, which stands for Tactical Combat Casualty Care.
Right.
Pre-hospital trauma life support. So from 2015 all the way until I got out of the Navy, which is January of 2024, I was teaching. So I have a very extensive background.
Was this prior to you taking the NCLEX?
This was all prior to me taking the NCLEX.
So this is just my take on, but that's why you failed the NCLEX 3 times, because you tried to answer the damn questions like you did, like you were doing in real life. And you got to be, I hate to say this, but you got to be a big dummy when you take the NCLEX. You got to think basic, and it's hard when you've got all that experience.
Yeah, 100%. I don't disagree with you. It was my experience of working in the real world.
Yeah.
From being a surge tech to being a hospital corpsman to teaching all these.
That's how your brain's trying to answer those questions, and you got to go back to being a big dummy. Because
you have to go back to the basics. Yeah. You have to unlearn everything that you had ever learned, and that was so hard for me because I was just like, man, like that's not how it works. we as nurses know that's not how it works.
Right.
I know that now. Hindsight's 2020, but you have to unlearn. And so that's why I tell a lot of my people that have prior medical backgrounds, especially my LPNs, hey, you need to unlearn that. I was like, because you're thinking like an RN now, and so I need for you to start thinking like an RN. So it was all of those experiences that lumped in that led me to become an NCLEX coach.
Yeah, that's right. So just I have to clarify this because you are in the, where do you live? You live in, where do you live again? Ohio.
No, I live in Texas.
Oh shit, Texas. All right. All right. Wait. Let me ask a more important question. Where in Texas do you live?
I live in San Antonio.
All right, now that is fucking Texas. All right. People who say Austin, that's not Texas.
All right, so
that's California.
You are correct. Austin is California.
Yeah.
Austin is very, very blue, but people forget that Texas, it takes you anywhere from 14 to 18 hours to drive through this state.
I was born in Dallas and grew up in Mesquite.
Oh, okay. So you north. Okay.
I know, yeah. All right, so for you folks that are listening, from I don't know where it starts, but I'm going to guesstimate that from maybe New Mexico or Arizona over to the East Coast, they call them LPNs, but here on the West Coast, we call them LVNs. I don't know why.
I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why either. Because
even in the military, it's LPNs.
In the military, it's in the Army, it's LVNs.
Well, when I was in there, we were called LPNs
because
I was in 91 Charlie.
Yeah, because they have them. The school is here in San Antonio, and it's a year long. And it is very much an LVN. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Practical, vocational,
right.
But they are literally the same thing. There is nothing that's different. So for those nursing students that are out there, if you see an LVN or LPN program, they are exactly the same thing. You will take the exact same curriculum, and you will take the exact same. You will take the NCLEX PN exam. You will.
You know what blows my mind is a lot of people don't know about reciprocity, and I don't want to get off track, but they don't know about reciprocity. Another thing is when I went to the military as a 91 Charlie, I got stuck in this fucking conundrum because I was in the last group that when you come to California, you could challenge the RN board. And that's how I became an RN.
Okay.
I challenged the RN board, but you can only work in California.
Right.
So I kind of fucked myself because I had to go all the way back to school again to get my license if I want to work outside of California.
Right, and now they don't even do that. The only one
now they don't do that. Yeah,
and that kind of makes sense. Like,
yes, I'm glad.
In Florida, I believe, no, Florida was not like that. Texas won't let you do that either.
Right.
And I think they got away from doing that because
they were screwing people.
They were screwing people, and it was the lack of control that the boards of nursing actually had.
Right.
I have a bunch of still military people right now that I mentor, and I tell them, hey, if you are working at Balboa or in San Diego or in Camp Pendleton or wherever you are, and I was just like, and if you're working the floor or whatever you need, go get that LPN, go get that LVN license, go get it.
Right.
Go get it.
I agree.
Because use those skills that you have.
So what do you find most rewarding about coaching students for the NCLEX?
Man, like I said, I've been an instructor and teaching since 2015, and it is the aha moment for when they finally get it. And the most rewarding thing is literally them passing.
Yeah,
like I had one who I coached who she took the NCLEX 11 times.
Holy shit.
And there's some states.
How is that even? Some states. I ain't trying to be mean, but how's that even legal?
So some states, because remember, it's board regulated by the states on how
I don't like that either. I don't agree with that shit, but that's another topic.
But then there's also those states that are not part of the nurse licensure compact, so they can essentially just kind of do what they want. But now we are in a state to where we need nurses, right?
I know.
Well, and it's always been that way, but.
Apparently, we don't need them too bad. We don't need them too bad because I want to talk about this later. We don't have to talk about it now, but there's a lady in Missouri that passed her RN school, and they won't let her take the NCLEX because she's of her immigration status. I don't know what they call it. I can't remember the term where you're born here in the States to a family that was illegal. They crossed the border and you were born here. I don't know what they call it. Anchor babies. I don't like that term, but I don't remember the term. But
I don't
You know,
remember.
DACA? DACA, is that what it is?
I'm not sure. I would have to look that one up. But
anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No. So like yeah. So she took the exam 11 times. She was already an LPN, and like and so I had already asked. I was just like, so why do you want to keep going? You know, and she was just like, well, you know, she had a lot of things going on in life. And it's just like every single time she was preparing for the exam, life hit her. And I understand that because it happens. And then when she was unsuccessful at one point and she was just like, all right, I'm done. I need somebody to help me. She reached out to me and I was just like, well, do you trust me? And do you trust the process? And do you trust me to get you there? And she was just like, yes. And I was just like, if you do what I tell you to do, and if you follow this, your chances of passing the NCLEX are going to increase tremendously.
Right.
She took it around the December of last year, and then she passed in 85 questions.
That's good. That's nice.
And, you know, and it's things like that is to help people who feel like who have given up.
But let me ask you this, because we have a lot of these. You told me she was already an LPN, and she took the RN NCLEX. So did she do an LPN to RN program?
She did. So she was already an LPN, took the LPN exam a while back. So she had already been working for quite some time as an LPN, did a LPN bridge program a while back. And then after she had graduated, that's when she had, you know, taken the exam.
Because here's what I see a lot of these LPN to RN programs, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but they got a lot of online programs. And so like there's a big one in Florida, the International College of something, Health Science or some shit. And I discourage nurses from doing it because I found out that and I don't care about the online portion, but they go to Florida for like 20 days of hands-on training. That's all they get. And then their hands-on training are like COVID clinics, nursing homes. They're not working in the hospitals. I'm like, you're going to get a lot of these damn questions. I'm assuming it's been a while since I took the NCLEX, but you're going to get a lot of these questions that are based upon clinical shit. And if you're only in a damn nursing home, you're not going to know the information.
I agree. What's happening now, and actually what's been happening for quite some time, especially since COVID, they're streamlining them. They're not teaching. They're not, because it's just, hey, we got a backlog of students. We got to get you in. The regulatory, the red tape to get students into the hospitals. You know, everything from occupational things, and then the willingness of, you know, a lot of these nurses that are working don't want to teach students, and I cannot get over that. I got all my training in the military, and then when I became a civilian and I started to see how a lot of these organizations were, I'm like, wait, what? And
are you listening? Hold on, I got to point the right way. Are you listening to this motherfucker? All you that know me, you hear the same shit from me every day. I feel like I'm in another world, in this damn civilian world of shit.
I'm telling, listen, to all the listeners, I need for y'all to pay attention to me. A lot of people say that, you know, don't join the military because of blah, 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 blah. I got the best training ever in my entire life to prepare me for this world while I was in the service.
Right. People ask me why I'm so smart. It's because I spent all that time in the military working in the shit that we did. Because, you know,
because in the military, you're not an individual. Everybody, there's a reason why you have a uniform.
You're a team. Yeah. You're a fucking team.
Everybody, like, and when I became a civilian and I started to realize that it was not like, even though they say it's the team thing, these people are individuals. They don't like.
Right.
Nope.
And that causes us a lot of stress. So
yeah. And so for her, like I said, you know, kind of circling back, she followed, you know, my instructions, you know, and I guided her, and, you know, she got her license. A lot of people, and, you know, I know you say you don't agree with the states and how, you know, hey, you know, multiple times, but you and I both know.
No, it's not that I don't agree. I don't know. Like if you're failing 11 times, what is it? Why? I want to go back to the root problem. It just blows my mind that we don't have a way to like send them to somebody like you that can maybe re-educate them or rethink them. I just think 11 times is a lot, only because it's going to mess you up mentally.
It is.
And you're going to get,
failing at one time does that.
Yeah. You're going to get into this rut, and you're going to get into this way of thinking. And you probably just need to find somebody like you that can reprogram the way they think.
Right. And a lot of people, like I said, like I make myself available. You know, a lot of people just, they don't want to do it is because number one, they're tired. and they're tired of, spending money. That's actually the biggest thing. When I was just like, it's not that I'm not a drink at Starbucks.
Well, not just that, but I got that. But look, you're spending. Now, I don't know. I could be wrong. You have to tell me.
Yeah.
11 times. I mean, if you fucking took the test 11 times, how many times you were paying for the
that'll
like, don't you have to pay every time?
Yes, every single and
so why not fail it once or twice? Yeah, but now why not fail it once or twice and then invest into Kevin to help you ass pass it, and you'd probably save money.
I agree. Everything from you spending money on the subscriptions for like the big ones like Kaplan, Archer, UWorld, and then you got to pay the Board of Nursing for the application. Then you got to pay Pearson VUE to proctor the exam.
Yeah, Kevin's cheaper.
I am, and I'll be that dude to tell you.
Sorry, more cost effective. Sorry, more cost effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'll be that dude to tell you too. So
what are the most common challenges? What common challenges do students face when preparing to NCLEX, and how do you help them overcome these?
One of the most common challenges that they face is not knowing where to start. Everything from not knowing where to start or not even knowing, what the foundation of what the NCLEX is. So I actually help them overcome that by I do free workshops where we talk about, essentially the blueprint, and all this stuff you can find on your own at the National Council's website. But the biggest thing is understanding what the NCLEX is. I call it knowing thy enemy, because if I can scout and know everything about my enemy's communications, their ground movements, their air to land to sea communications and all that, if I can know everything about my enemy, when it's time for me to strike, they're not going to know what hit them.
Right. I didn't know this. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't know that the NCLEX had a blueprint. I was about to ask you that question, because a lot of national exams, like I'm a certified emergency nurse, we have a blueprint for you to study, and I didn't know the NCLEX had that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like every regulatory body for these big exams, they have a blueprint. Now, does it tell you exactly what to study?
No, but it gives you an idea.
Yes and no. They give you like, hey, go look at, basic care and comfort. Oh crap, what's under basic care and comfort? 50 topics, and they can ask you they can ask you multitude of questions from those.
And that's what you cover.
And that's what we cover. And so as we go through it, I'm just like, okay, let's talk about the NCLEX. Do you know what it is? The NCLEX is this. It was created by the National Council for this reason. It's a regulatory body that governs both the registered nurses and the LPNs, as well as the advanced practice nurses. And I tell them we talk about computer adaptive testing. A lot of people are like, what is that?
Right.
Down. What is considered a passing and a not passing type of question? We talk about remembering and understanding versus analysis and application, easy questions versus hard questions, understanding, stable versus unstable, acute versus chronic, and now since NCLEX just updated to the next gen, we talk about how nothing has changed. It changed. What changed was how the questions were delivered to you. So instead of me just giving you a multiple choice question, and then if you select all that applies, I'm now going to give you a case scenario of a patient that you could possibly see in the emergency room.
I like that. That's good.
Right. And the whole point is, when we talk about it, it's just like the whole point of a case study is to simulate you landing a patient, maintaining them, and then transferring them if needed. I was like, that's the whole point. So remember clinicals. And I have to say, if you had clinicals, a lot of them are COVID babies.
Right.
COVID boots. They don't know. So
but that's our fault. That's the system error that's causing issues. Yeah.
That is a system. That is and it starts from the top. So, I help them overcome by giving them a firm foundation of what this exam is. Once you understand how essentially the NCLEX is built, you're going to be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So, the more you know.
But we don't teach that in school, do we?
No, of course not. They don't teach that in school. Hell, they don't even teach that in a lot of these NCLEX reviews that are out there. In my NCLEX review, it's like the very first section.
I like that though. I think you need to understand why, and so that way when you do understand the why, the questions will make more sense.
Yep.
So how do you keep the students motivated through the study process, especially those who have failed the exam multiple times?
So the very first thing that I do is I relate to them. I make things very, very relatable. And I tell them about my failures of this exam. That's the very first thing I say to them. I'm just like, listen, I understand how you feel. And I was just like, the road to success is paved by failures.
That's right.
Right. And as you continue to, and I'm not just talking about nursing. I'm talking about anything. Let's just say you didn't do well when it came to taking care of doing something for your kids. Guess what? You learned how to do it better. That way you wouldn't make that same mistake going forward. Same thing if you start to have multiple kids. And so I start to relate. I actually even wrote a book talking about how I failed the NCLEX and how I was able to overcome that. So the motivation that I give them is to let them know that I have been working as a nurse for 4 years, currently up to 4.5 years right now, and to let them know that you too can get to this position.
Yeah.
I quote scriptures to them because I believe that having God in your life can really help alleviate a lot of the mental anguish that you have, as well as motivational videos, motivational quotes, text messages, emails. I go live on TikTok.
No, that's how I found you.
Yeah, multiple times throughout the week, to let people know that, hey, it's okay. Like, it is okay. This test does not define who you are or what type of nurse that you're going to be. Only you can do that.
Right.
And so that's how I do it. That's how I keep them. That's how I keep them motivated and focused on the task at hand and the end goal, which is to get a license.
I like that. So are there specific strategies or study techniques you recommend for mastering the NCLEX content?
So the very first thing is you have to change your mindset. You have to understand that this exam is exactly what it is. It is an exam to test basic nursing competency. I'm not trying to tell you to be a certified emergency nurse. I'm not trying to teach you to be a critical care nurse. Like, I'm not trying to teach you to be certified, because that's when it starts to get very much into the nitty gritty of that specifics of what you're trying to do in that area of nursing. Very first thing is we have to change the mindset, because I can't believe and want you to pass more than you believe if you can pass. I can't want that more than you. Do I want it for you? 100%.
Right.
But I can't want it more than you. I already got my license.
Right.
So what do you want? Do you want your license, or do you want me to want the license for you and you still not get it?
Right.
Like, which one you want?
Yeah, you can't blame Kevin.
So the very first thing is I tell them mindset. Second thing I tell them is you have to understand where your weak points are. And so this is for all my repeat test takers. Every person that is unsuccessful at the exam will get what they call a candidate performance report, or what we call the performance breakdown. And with the performance breakdown, it will literally tell you what areas on the NCLEX that you did not do well. You'll either get a below passing, you'll get near passing, or you'll get above passing.
Now, do you explain to them what that means? Because I don't even know what the hell that means.
I do. So essentially, in a nutshell, if you get a category that says below passing, that means you have no idea what's going on in that category.
That means you suck ass.
Essentially, you have a content deficit. You have if you can't tell me about DKA, we're going to have a problem.
I got you. Okay.
If you can't tell me about the manifestations of a myocardial infarction, we are going to have a problem. Why? Because those are very highly testable things and very high disease processes that you are going to see in anybody's hospital, in anybody's anywhere. Right. Okay. And so if you get below passing, that means you have a content problem, huge. And if you have a content problem, you're going to have an extremely difficult time answering NCLEX style questions. You are. If you don't have that foundation, like, they are both they are equal.
I got you.
They are equal. 100% of that and 100% of that, you need both of them.
That's good though.
And so with the near passing aspect, That's telling us that you do have a grasp of content, but you don't know how to apply the content to what the question is asking you, meaning you have a problem answering NCLEX style questions. And then, of course, with the above passing means that you met the competency for that specific area, so you don't really have any issues in that area. But what I do like to tell people is just because you have above passing doesn't mean you should neglect still studying that area. But you just now know where you need to refocus your efforts as you continue with your study process.
And that's where you keep them on track.
Yep, 100%.
So you kind of talked about this, but I'm big into this because I don't know if you ever listened to Jack Canfield's book and stuff. He's very religious too. I'm not, in transparency, I'm not a very religious person. Okay. I got the shit kicked out of me when I was a kid in Texas. We were forced to go to church 7 days a week, and I got beat with belt buckles till I was black and blue and bleeding in the name of Jesus.
That's it. And you know, I know this is not a biblical podcast or a godly podcast, but that's actually a very horrible thing.
But you know, because you grew up in Texas, you probably still see it sometimes.
I grew up in Texas. You know, I have friends that are Catholic that, you know, they weaponize Christianity and they weaponize the Bible, and that is not what Jesus stood for at all. And for anybody that you know, may have been, you know, in that realm of where their family you know, used religion as a weapon to keep them in line or to do terrible things to them or say things in, you know, in the name of Jesus, I'm sorry that happened to you. And I really hope that, you know, Jesus does come into your life and to show you that that's not what he's about, because he loves you just the way that you are.
Well, that's why I like Canfield, because, you know, he doesn't shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
But he says, you know, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. So he's very positive, and he talks about positive affirmations, which is our next question.
Yeah.
What role does mindset play in the NCLEX success, and how do you support students in building a positive mindset? Because a lot of times, even me, I was a very negative person because of the way I was raised.
Right.
And so I believe, like, I'm seeing it now just by changing my positive mindset, that things happen way much better, or they happen more often to me in a positive way because of changed my mindset. So how does that affect your, you know, helping people be successful?
Well, like I said earlier, the very first thing that we have to do is that we have to change that mindset. Like, we really do. You know, in 2 Timothy, it says life and death is in the power of the tongue. What you say can manifest. Your words, as my good friend Nurse Amber always says, she was like, your words do not have a sense of humor. They do not.
That's right.
And she was like, if you say it, if you say it, it shall come. And
that's
so
what he said. Yeah.
And so you should not be surprised.
All right.
Well, you know what? I'm a piece of trash. Oh, you know what? I'm not this, I'm not that. So what do you think is going to be the end result of that?
Well, it's affecting your subconscious, which you don't really realize. And that's exactly what it manifests.
Absolutely. And I'll give you a prime example. I remember when I took my NCLEX the second time, or the second and the third time, I kept saying, I was like, F it. I was like, if I fail, I fail. It's okay. I still have a job. Right. And then what happened? I went in there and I failed. The third time when I went in there and I did it, I said, oh, F it. If I fail, I fail, whatever. It doesn't matter, yada, yada, yada. And one girl that was sitting next to me taking a totally different exam, literally, she's like, oh, what exam are you taking? I'm like, I'm taking the nurse one. She's like, well, how do you feel about it? I was like, it's whatever. I was just like, if I fail, I fail. You know, it don't even matter to me. But, and she got up and went away from me. She was and I looked at her and I was like, whatever. And then what happened? I failed again. And then I kept saying to myself, why do I keep failing? And then it took, you know, an Army major who then became an Army lieutenant colonel, who is now a retired lieutenant colonel, who was an ICU nurse, who really roped me in. And he was just like, I don't ever want to hear you say anything like that out of your mouth.
Yeah.
He didn't say it like how I just said it. He said it very, very military, to where even to this day, I still very much can get very much roped in by you know, an officer checking me, because I was enlisted. So
I was too. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
but yeah, so like what that does is, when I start to hear them say anything, I'm a dummy. No, you're not. I was like, you were created in his image. You were created perfectly, and you are great just the way that you are. And I was just like, and I want for you to believe that.
Right.
I want for you to believe that, because I believe that. So the way to help build the positive mindset is to continue to just spit and spew positivity into them.
That's
like
right.
I want you to have this.
Do you make them write down positive affirmations?
All the time. I'm just like, here's what I want for you to do. I want you to get some sticky notes, because I have like a pad and sticky notes like all over my desk. Okay. I want you to start writing great. I want you to start writing wonderful things about yourself. Say, I want you to start it off with I am. If you start off in the book of Genesis.
That's right.
Start off in the book of Genesis, I am.
That's what Jack teaches. I love it, man. That's good.
When you go to the book of Exodus, and when Moses says, who am I supposed to tell? Who am I supposed to say sent me? Say, I am sent you.
Yeah.
And so that's why he says, when you say I am, you're essentially saying that God is telling you that you are this. I am stupid. I am dumb. No, you are not. God never said that you were stupid or dumb.
Right.
You are manifesting.
You're manifesting. Right. I have on my lock phone screen. It's not quite I am, but it says I have the power to create good things in my life.
Yes, you do.
And I always tell myself right after that, I am creating good things in my life.
And it will happen.
And it works. Yes, Ben. Look, I'm with you. See,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what happens? Here we are with on our entrepreneurial journeys.
Yeah.
Creating these things for people, because I am a bundle of positivity.
Yes.
And I want to help these people.
You're not wanting, you are. I am helping.
I am.
Right. That's right.
People.
I love that.
Yes.
I like that. All right. So how do you tailor your coaching for students with different learning styles? So not everybody learns the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So the top 3 learning styles, you have your auditory, kinesthetic, and you have your visual. Believe it or not, 70% of learners are visual. And then, the other ones are split up, evenly, but there's a good amount of people as well that are a combination of one or all of them. And so we'll stick specifically to those individuals that are like auditory. So the example that I like to give is, I'm like, do you like listening to the radio? And like I said, most of the students that I talk to are women. And so I start asking them just really crazy questions. I'll be like, hey, so I was like, so you're an auditory listener? And they're just like, yes. And I was just like, well, tell me about that. Oh, I've been listening to the Marquet lectures. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. And I'm like, okay. And then I turn the tables on them, and I'm just like, hey, have you heard that Brokey song by Big Lotto? And they're just like, yes, I love that song. And then I was like, what are the lyrics to it? And then she was just like, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this. And then I'm just like, huh. I was like, so we can learn a Lotto song, but we can't understand how the trend of DKA works. And they were just like, you got me. And I was just like, but do you see how powerful auditory is? Do you see how powerful listening is? Right. And so I was like, have you ever been to the mall and you went into like Foot Locker, or you went into a store, and then you hear a song, and then 20 minutes later you come out and you're just like, where did I hear that from? That's because your brain was subconsciously, listening and acquiring that information. So why wouldn't you do the same exact thing? So here's what I want for you to do. I want for you to look up these podcasts. I want you to look up these lectures. As a matter of fact, since you are in my coaching, you get access to my lectures. I want you to listen to these lectures while you're driving to and from work. Right. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I was just like, we are going to fill up your time with studying, even if it's passive. I call it active and passive studying. Active, of course, is where you're sitting here looking at the questions, looking at the lectures on the computer, or you could do it passively. I don't care if you're cleaning your bathroom. I don't care if you're on the toilet. I don't care if you're mowing the lawn. Listen to it. Because before you know it, you're going to be like, where did I hear that from? Oh, right. I heard it in a lecture. And so that's an example of how, one of many techniques
because
that we use to help them master.
Because the subconscious is always on. It's always listening. That's why if you talk trash about yourself, your subconscious is listening, and it's going to manifest what you put into your brain because you heard it. Yeah.
100%. I tell people, I was just like, have you ever fallen asleep and heard something on the TV, and then all of a sudden you had a dream about it, or you can hear it while you're sleeping, and then you wake up and you're just like, how do I know all of that? And I was just like, that's because your brain is steadily absorbing all of this information that is around you. There's a reason why when you smell something, you recognize it. There's a reason why when you see it or you hear it, you recognize it. If it's good, I'm going to it. If it's not, I'm staying away. There's a reason why those things happen. So let's use what we have.
Well, I didn't notice, and I love science, but I didn't notice. But I keep talking about this book because he changed my life. He talks about the subconscious, and I'm just quoting numbers. I know it's probably not exactly right, but he says your subconscious can process like 100 gigabytes per second of information, or like 200,000. Like, it's a crazy number. I'm like, holy shit. Where you're conscious, when you're awake, is on it's like being on dial-up internet. Where your subconscious is like on, like, I don't know what the fastest fiber optics Wi-Fi is. I don't know what the fastest is shit, but he's like, that's what your subconscious is doing. And your subconscious is always on. And if you put negativity into it, that's what's going to be put back out.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So you've already done this once, but I don't know if you have another story. But the next question I wrote was, can you share a success story that stands out from your time as an NCLEX coach? You talked about the one you helped with 11 times. Is there anybody else that stands out even more?
There's another young lady last year around this time. She had failed NCLEX 3 times, and she had saw some stuff of mine on YouTube, reached out to me via Instagram. And usually in Instagram and stuff like that, like I don't really jump on Instagram like that. But then there was something that was telling me that night that, you know what, somebody's reaching out to me. Let me see what's going on. And so her and I went back and forth, and I essentially told her, yeah, I can offer you coaching. Here's this, here's that. This is what it is. And then she was just like, well, I don't know if I can afford that. And I was just like, no, I understand that. And then I asked her about, does she consider this an emergency?
Right.
Like, well, let me talk to somebody else. And her mom had said to her, she was just like, what else do you have to lose? You've taken this exam 3 times.
Right.
So why not go to somebody who, take a chance? And I was just like, okay, cool. And then next thing she jumped into it. We worked together for a month, for 30 days. I did give her a couple of extra sessions. She had direct access to me. I have an Excel spreadsheet that literally will show me, because numbers don't lie, people do.
Right.
That will literally show me what areas of their studying process where they need to improve. And she went and took the NCLEX, and when she took the NCLEX, I didn't hear from her for like a day or two, and then she just sent me a screenshot and she said that she passed, and I was just like, look at God. And so that was her third time taking the NCLEX. She called me. She cried. Her name is Crystal. If you guys ever get the chance to go to my YouTube channel, which is The Boot Nurse.
Congratulations, Crystal.
You'll see it. She's been a nurse for almost going on a year.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. Numbers don't lie, people. Numbers don't lie. That's what I was thinking about in my head when you were talking about numbers. I don't know if you do it already, but you create a damn comparison to how much people spend on their NCLEX, failing 3 or 4 times versus how much they spend on Kevin.
Yeah.
They'll see the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
100%.
So what are some common mistakes you see students making in preparation?
Using too many resources.
All right.
Too many resources. Like, everybody is using Mark Klimick. And first of all, if you guys don't know who Mark Klimick is, he is, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest instructors that I've ever seen when it comes to just teaching as nurses and teaching NCLEX. He has lectures that are like kind of just floating around, that have been floating around the internet for probably like the last almost 20 years. But they're very outdated, and he talks about concepts so if you don't understand content, you're going to have a difficult time understanding the concepts he uses in order for you to pass NCLEX. So that's a big thing. Using too many resources, such as, you have people that'll buy UWorld, that'll buy Archer, they'll buy Kaplan, they'll buy Hearst, they'll buy all these other people, and they'll buy Simple Nursing, they'll buy, my NCLEX program. They're using YouTube, then they're using the books. So they're using, now essentially they have information overload.
Right.
And, now that's probably the biggest problem that all these students have. And so now we have to kind of just like trim the fat. Like, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. I recommend this. You don't need that. You don't need that. Let's stick to 2 things.
Right.
9 things.
Right. Because you're going to get crazy with too much information.
Yeah. Because
I know
they'll start asking questions. They'll be like, oh, this one says this one says that. I was like, you're worried about that. You're worried about the wrong thing. I was like, these are nuances that and I'm telling you this because that was me. And I don't want you to fall into that same trap. Yeah.
I know we are 7 minutes away from our hour. I don't want to keep it too long, but I
got all day.
Are you sure?
I got all day. Like,
okay, so I don't want to rush you, but I also don't want to keep you either.
No, we got all day.
Right. So let me see where I'm at here. So how do you help students develop critical thinking skills needed for the NCLEX?
So we actually will go through questions together. So I will tell them, hey, I need for you to go do a quiz, or they'll do a diagnostic quiz, or I'll task them to doing 4 quizzes throughout the week to include like a readiness exam and a computer adaptive test. And then what we'll do is I'll tell them, as you are going through the process of reading and reviewing your questions, I want for you to mark down the ones that you have questions about. And then they're like, okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to go through those questions. And then I will read the question verbatim. And then I will break the question down. Now, the question is saying this, or the question is asking you this. Even though it started like this, they want to know this information. So now let's focus on what we know versus what we don't know. So you're over here trying to guess. Now, let's think about what you know about DKA. Let's think about what you know about a myocardial infarction. Let's think about what you know about a paralytic ileus. Like, let's think about these things, right? Let's think about what you know about vital signs. Okay, now you know it does this, you know it does that. So we don't need answer choices A or B, right? Because we know that somebody who has massive hemorrhage, they're going to have a high heart rate, they're going to have a high respiratory rate, but they're going to have a low blood pressure, right? But then is that going to stay that way? No, because eventually everything's going to go down. And so I was like, remember, the pipes aren't piping, meaning we don't have any pressure. We're losing it. And I give the examples if I was just like, the vessels in your body are equivalent to the pipes in your house. If your pipes in your house burst, that means you have no water pressure and it's just going to be dribbling. So think of your body just dribbling like that. Everything has to be under pressure for a reason. And that's how we talk about that. I mean, we have to make it relatable.
Yeah.
I've made things relatable to, and I'm saying women, because I'm just like, man, how do I know that? And I'm just like, well, I was just like, think about it like this. Do you like this? Do you like basketball? Or what sport did you play? So I played I was a cheerleader, or I was a soccer player. And I was like, all right, now let us think of this in terms of soccer. And they're just like, oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I like that though, because that's how I teach too. Yeah.
So you have to be able to make it relatable. You have to break it down Barney style.
But people like that. They always say, they like because I break it down in a simple term. But I'm like, well, you probably know the information. You just, when you hear these big ass words from school, it makes your head hurt, and you're like, I don't understand it. But you do understand it. You just got to break it down. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so what resources or tools do you find most effective in preparing students for the exam? Do you create your own? Do you use other people's?
So I do a combination. I create my own lectures and content, and I also actually created my own review where I actually have on-demand videos where they go through and they will answer, or they go through with me, and they answer NCLEX style questions from each client needs category. So first video for my NCLEX review is on management of care. And I go through like 30 questions to include case studies. And we talk about the things like you need to be aware of as you are looking in, like, so what is this? And I say, so what is the question asking us truly? This question wants to know, did this patient understand the education?
Right.
And if they didn't, if they didn't understand it, what is the statement that shows that they did not understand this? Now, if you don't know what this piece of content is, this is how you know. You have to mark it down in your brain. I need to go back and do more research on that. Right. And I was like, remember, this is a review. The review is not supposed to replace nursing school.
Right.
Yeah. And I try to tell them,
we're not here to teach you. We're here to help you review.
Nursing school. We're here to help you actively recall what you should have already learned, even though it could have been 2 years prior.
Right.
And so that's one of the resources that I use. And then because I don't have a question bank yet, that is what I'm working on.
Wow.
We love
I'm gonna help you with
Archer.
that.
Okay, look, all right, I love it. Archer, UWorld, Kaplan. I love their questions. And NCLEX Bootcamp. Those are some ones that a lot of my students like, and I can actually recommend because I personally have seen them. There's some other ones that are out there that I would not recommend to anybody, other NCLEX material. But I don't ever say them. I just won't recommend them if I don't like them.
I got you. Yeah, I got you. All right. No, I'm fair enough. Yeah. So how do you stay updated with the latest NCLEX changes and trends in nursing education?
So it's funny. I actually just went to the NCLEX conference that was done back in September. Where they talked about updated numbers, and I can't hear you. Oh, did you mute yourself? Okay. Nope. I just heard some feedback a whole second ago, though. It's all good. This is the great thing about it being recorded, because the power of editing.
Hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
I can't hear you, though. I don't know what the hell I did, man. I screwed shit up, man. Hold on one second. I don't know what I did wrong. Oh, shit. I don't know what I did, man.
Check.
Hold on one second. Sorry, man.
It's all okay.
We had a technical error, Jane. I'm screwing shit up.
Jane, I don't know if you can hear me, but yes, he has screwed shit
up. All right. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Nope.
I can hear you.
1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
I can hear you.
1 2 3. I don't know what the hell I did.
I can hear you.
I'm sorry, dude.
Check. Did you hit the mute button? Did I hit the mute button?
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
I can hear you.
All right, let me do this shit. 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Check. I can hear you.
All right, can you try? Let me take this shit off. I don't know what the hell I did, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
I know there's gonna be a lot of background. I know that. I'm sorry, man.
That's all good.
All right, cool. So I got lost in shit. I don't remember what the last question I asked you.
It was number 12.
Oh, I said, oh yeah. How do you stay up to date with the latest NCLEX changes and trends?
So it's actually really funny that you asked that. Like, I actually get weekly newsletters from the National Council for anything that gets updated from the Nurse Licensure Compact. If there's an update on NCLEX material, on the NCLEX test plan, as well as the NCLEX pass rate. So I'm very, very familiar with the NCLEX website. And like I said, I actually just went to an NCLEX like seminar that was back in September, where they talked about the next gen. They talked about the numbers, how next gen's been working.
But I don't really like the NCLEX only from the standpoint of, to me, now I know I'm probably going to get a lot of shit from people, but to me, the NCLEX is still written by a bunch of old ass nurses who are still learning and teaching task-based medicine and not evidence-based medicine. And I wish that we would elevate our questions to evidence-based questions.
So it's actually funny that you say that. So the whole point of NextGen was for that purpose. That's exactly why the case scenarios are there. There was a portion in the seminar where they essentially would track all the way from the beginning of nursing school all the way to get feedback from nurses that are in hospitals. So that's where that it's all evidence based, even though scenarios may be skewed a little bit. But it is all evidence based because that's how the questions are made. That's number one. Now the people that run it, like the board members, most of them are old. But the NCLEX, the National Council, NCSBN, they actually have NCLEX test writers. Like, you can actually be an NCLEX test writer. I think you can do it for up to 2 years. I actually tried to do it, but I can't do it because I am an NCLEX coach, and I have NCLEX
conflict of interest.
It's definitely a conflict of interest. Now, don't get me wrong. Would I have loved to done it?
Yeah,
absolutely. But ethically, it's not right for me. Right. So, but here's my total opinion on that. I've looked at a lot of NCLEX material, and I can honestly say that in my opinion, I think the test questions are written pretty well, versus how when you look at these other organizations, they purposely make them harder.
Oh yeah.
They make them harder. Right. That way, it makes it easier when you do go on the NCLEX, and I understand that logic for it.
No, but like I'll give you an example. Like, I don't know if it's still there because I haven't taken the NCLEX. I'm just going off of what other students have told me and asked me questions. But they still teach Mona in school. They still teach Mona and NCLEX, but Mona's not really it's not. I mean, it is, but it isn't like the best practice, though. You know what I mean?
Correct. But remember, this exam is about basic nursing competency. We're not thinking as a seasoned veteran.
Maybe that's why it's hard for me. Maybe that's
exactly.
why. Yeah.
Exactly. But we have to think about those individuals who will be working in a clinic, or will be working, pediatrics, or be working in oncology, who aren't
morphine and nitro and even oxygen aren't what you're supposed. Even if you're in a clinic, you shouldn't be given those things.
Yeah, those are acute. Those are acute meds that you should. Well, oxygen you can give if you have it, which everybody should have it.
But aspirin
morphine you won't have. Yeah. Morphine and nitro you won't have relatively available to you in a clinic. Correct. You are right. But the whole point about Mona is the mistake that people use is they go in that order. But it's not that order. It is based off of what the question is giving you.
Right.
So the biggest thing about myocardial infarction is oxygen demand. The myocardium needs oxygen, and it's not getting it. It's essentially you choking off your heart.
Right.
And so when people are just like, "Oh, it's Mona, we give morphine first," incorrect. You give oxygen first. Mona is just the ditty or the acronym that you remember for when it comes to the tasks that need to be done.
Right.
So those are things that I reiterate to them. Just because it's Mona doesn't mean that you're going to give morphine first. Just because it's ABCs doesn't mean it has to do anything specifically about your ABCs.
Right. But that messes people up, though.
It does, and I have to reiterate that to them.
Right.
Every time I drop a question where it says, which patient should you see first? And they go straight to airway. Doesn't matter what it is. They're just like, oh, the patient has acute asthma with a O2 saturation of 96%. And I'm just like,
Right.
I was like, you probably shouldn't see that guy first.
Right.
And
it's hard because their brain hears ABCs and it messes them up.
And they were just like, oh, airway. And I was like, wrong. And they were like, I don't understand why I got it wrong. And I was just like, you have to be flexible.
Right.
And you have to be willing to rewire your brain. And then hindsight became 2020 when I started working in an ICU. I was just like, I get it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's essentially like how when we keep up with the trends with NCLEX is I'm very, very, very deep into that website, and I actually read, and it's weird. A lot of people are going to say that I'm weird, but I read those documents.
I don't think it's weird. I think that's how you learn. Because if people ask me, people always ask me, and I don't want to say that, but people always say I'm smart. And if they ask me, how are you so smart? I'm like, I just read. Yeah. I read and I ask questions. That's all I do. It's not rocket science.
What is it? Because a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Right. All right. So what advice would you give students who feel overwhelmed by the amount of material they need to study? So you kind of talked about this already. Don't have too many resources, but
don't have too many resources, and then understand where your deficit is. And I say deficit because you guys in nursing school will hear that deficit, fluid volume deficit, right? So that's why I say those words. So yeah, limit your, don't use a lot of material that you can scour and find on the internet. And also you need to understand where your starting point is. Such as if pharmacology is a hard part, because it is a very hard part. It's the second largest section on both NCLEX exams. It is large.
I'm finding out that a lot of schools, at least here in California, they're kind of dumbing down pharmacology.
They are. I like one young lady that I helped earlier this year. She said they don't teach them pharmacology. They learn pharmacology in their prereqs, but they don't teach pharmacology in the program.
And I think that's a mistake.
And I was just like, why would they not do that? Because I mean, let's think about it. We're going to talk about like lisinopril or whatever. Like you have to be able to understand it from the pharmacokinetic aspect and also to the nursing aspect.
Yeah, but they're teaching people to rely on pharmacy, and so I think that's a mistake. I think that's dumbing down nurses, and you're seeing the results of that.
You will dumb down. You will 100% dumb down the nurses, because here's a big thing. When I was working in the burn ICU, I had a doctor give me an order for 25,000 units of heparin for somebody who was not on CRT.
I see. So
and so if you don't understand that, and then you were just to give a medication blind,
you're gonna fuck your patient.
Your patient's going to die. If I would have gave 25,000 units of heparin,
yeah, they're going to see Jesus.
They're gonna go meet JC real quick.
Right.
DC to JC real quick.
That's right.
Right.
That's
and
good.
So if you don't understand your pharmacology, you better not ever give a medication blind, ever.
I know that's what some of the schools are teaching. Just blindly follow what the doctor or the pharmacy says, and you can't do that. You got to stop that. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
All right. So what are your top tips for managing stress and anxiety before your exam day?
Number one is going to be time management. You need to be able to manage your time, and by managing your time, you need to be able to know when and when not to study. Not only what to study, but when and when not to study. I like to tell my students, you need to give yourself at least 1 to 2 days off during the week, because this is a machine. Think of your brain as a muscle, and you need to give it time to recuperate. I mean, imagine if you were you're studying for 10 hours a day with nothing but quantities amounts of questions. And if I said, hey, go to the gym and I want you to run for 10 hours, most of people you're not going to make that. So why would you do that to your brain? Right. So that's one of my tips, is you really have to have time management. Another tip is a study schedule, because with the study schedule and your time management, you balance the two out to know what to study one day, how long to study it, and then when you can actually incorporate your break days. I used to study Tuesday to Monday, and then I would study I would have 2 days off. So I would have Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, and I would study from Thursday, even over the weekend. I would do all that. And so that's another way to do it. Positive affirmations, which is what we talked about by putting sticky notes and saying encouraging words to yourself, and no drinking coffee. I'm sorry, girls. I know y'all want to drink coffee. Yeah. You know, I see it.
Can you read what that says?
I read it. I see what it says. But when it comes to I know y'all love your coffee, and I got you, because your boy had a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? Don't drink the energy drinks like the Celsius. Okay?
All right. Don't make you go too crazy.
Don't drink it. All right.
What's your thought process behind it? Why do you say that?
The reason being is because caffeine is a stimulant.
All right.
And when you're stimulated the whole time, your brain's going into overdrive. And when your brain goes into overdrive, you have no idea where essentially kind of how to do your focus, right? And the last thing, and that has to do with exercise as well, right? Because exercise has been scientifically proven to decrease stress. And then lastly, sleep. You need to sleep. Sleep itself, lack thereof when it comes to sleep, it has been linked to type 2 diabetes. It has been linked to the causing of sleep apnea. It has been linked to causing of obesity. It has been linked to cause early onsets of dementia. It has been linked to causing myocardial infarctions to happen at an early age, because, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, stress can put you in an early grade. Yeah. Alcohol, right? You need to remain focused. So those are my top tips. And it's funny because I did a free workshop yesterday, and we do free workshops all the time. And we talked about that, how to reduce stress and anxiety. So it's not just what you do before the exam day, like the day before.
Right.
this is a routine that you need to do, a month, 2 months leading up to that.
Mindset and lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yep. So how can students best utilize their time in the final weeks? Was kind of what you just talked about, but how can students best utilize their time in the final weeks leading up to the NCLEX?
Time management. Definitely, like, if you don't need to go out, don't go out. If you don't need to, and by go out, I mean go hanging out with your friends. Remember, your license is not going to have your name plus your family. They're not going to have your name plus your friends. It's going to be because you're the one who put in this work for you to do this. So leading up to that, you manage your time and be selfish with that time. Take care of your responsibilities. If you're a wife, please take care of your husband and your kids.
That's right, Mr. Right? Take care of your husband.
If you're a husband, please take care of your wife and your kids. And I do say it in that order. And so, do those things, but be selfish with your time, and let your family know that you have to be selfish with this time. All right. And so that's how you have to manage your time. If you have to get so regimented to write it down.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you in the last question. Do you provide them a study schedule, or do you make them create their own?
So I actually provide them a study schedule, and it is a template. It is a straight template of how I want for them to study, but we can always adjust it.
Right.
So a lot of them tell me, I want to study questions every day. Great. I have a template for that, but I don't recommend it. No. Okay. I'll give you both. 3 days later, they're just like, I don't know if I can do this. Why don't you think you can know how to do this? And they were just like, because I'm so burnt out. And I was like, is it burnt? Are you done trying to do things your way?
Oh yeah. I like that. That's good. Yeah.
Like, are you done trying to do? I was just like, so why do you want to coach? Because I want to be held accountable, and I was just like, so you failed this exam 2 times already. So why is it that you're still trying to do it your way?
Right.
And I was just like, can we do it my way now? And they're just like, yes. I'm like, all right, cool. And then what happened? I got a good story for you. But one of them, that's what she did. And that's why I say that. And she texted me and she was just like, hey, I don't think I'm interested in doing the coaching anymore. And I was like, why is that? She was just like, because I'm burnt out. And then I was just like, well, I don't know if you know this, but we don't quit around here. I was like, you quit on yourself, you'll quit on your patient. And I was like, so I don't know what you thought this was, but you ain't going nowhere. And she was just like, well, and I called her and I was just like, what did you think this was? You think I'm playing with you?
Right.
I was like, I don't play about y'all. And I'm not playing with you. Like, you're not going to give me money, and you are not going to invest time, which is the one thing you cannot get back.
Right.
Like, you are not going to and try to quote unquote invest time and then me do it and then you not do it. No. That's not how that's going to work. And I was like, so we're gonna fix this right now. And then she was just like, okay, that may be too aggressive for you. And if that is,
no, I like it.
Not you. I'm talking about this is to the audience. This may be too aggressive for you.
Yeah.
That's all right though. That may be something that you need that you don't recognize that you need at this moment.
Right.
And what happened? She followed it. Next thing you know, boom, passes. And I was like, well, look at that. And I was like, and you wanted to quit.
Right.
Like, you think I'm gonna let
we don't leave no one behind. That's right. We're gonna drag your ass across.
No. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Now, if it would have been anybody else, and this is where I think about the military aspect versus the civilian aspect. And this isn't me talking about all civilians. This is just my experience that I have experienced coming from the military and now as a veteran working as a civilian. That's what I see. If that would have been anybody else, they would have been like, all right, cool, go on about your business.
Right.
They would have just taken your money. And I was like, no, you're not just going to give me money and then waste my time. Sorry.
Right.
I don't do that at all. So
no, but I like that. Yeah,
that's how we do that.
So how does your coaching program, well, it's kind of you already talked about, but how does your coaching program differ from other NCLEX prep options available?
So one of the biggest things about my coaching and, like with my courses is once you get my course, at least for now, once you get my course, you have it like for a lifetime. You get all the updates, you get all of you get all the reviews, you get all that good jazz that's a part of it.
So even after they pass the NCLEX, you still
even after they pass the NCLEX, they still have access to it.
So I love you, Kevin, but my advice would be once you pass the NCLEX.
Oh no! Listen, I already know the power of editing, so I'm not really worried about this. But like it's like they have access to it. The whole point is to get volume. The whole point right now was just to get volume.
No, I totally get it. It's just from personal experience, yeah. I've built a lot of programs, and other people want the success you have,
but they don't see the work and dedication that you put into it, and they come and take your content and then they go and market it as their own, and that shit makes me mad because they've done it to me, and I'm like, Lord Jesus, have mercy on their soul.
And the thing about it, so what I have done is I essentially have just gone in there and I do a password reset.
Oh yeah.
And so when I do a password reset, I do it like probably once every 6 months. And so even if they have passed it on, not even 6 months, maybe like once every 3 or 4 months. And then so if somebody's passed it on, they're like, oh, I can't use it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to send the password to the email associated with that account. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it.
Right.
And by that time, let's just be real. People have done that before with UWorld and Archer. They do that with other
programs. I know. I get it.
But we are not them.
Right.
We are not huge companies, conglomerates.
Right. That's why I reach out to you, because we're small business people and we want to try to be successful. We're here to help you, but we're not, we are feeding our families and stuff, and our families got to come
100,
first. So
100%. So so here's the thing, my coaching program, it allows for me to give you direct feedback. We do one-on-one sessions for an hour. Sometimes it goes a little bit over that. It just depends on what is needed. We break down NCLEX style questions together. Like, I will never tell you to go and open up a book. I was like, everything that we can remotely find can either be online or I already have it. Part of the content. Nextly is I have a question bank. I have a QBank tracker. So it doesn't matter what program you use, from NCLEX Bootcamp to Archer to whatever. Like, I manually make you put these things in because, number one, it shows the accountability of you doing it. Number two, I am able in real time to tell you throughout the week, hey, you're doing great in this area. I want you to now put your focus into this other area while still studying everything else. I'm not trying to tell you to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to tell you to open up a book. I'm trying to tell you to do this. And they're just like, okay. And then I have a calendar, a study calendar. I have two of them. One, if you want to do questions every day. And then the one that I recommend is where you do questions every other day.
I got you.
And then you do content every day. I make you do content every day, but you will do questions and answers every other day. So by working with me, I make you do 3 to 4 quizzes a week, plus a computer adaptive test or a readiness exam, one of the two. And so that's just a few things. And then, of course, they get not just the coaching for the NCLEX, they get the mentorship of when they get their license and what to expect when they become a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse. And then I think it's probably the icing on the cake is that they have direct access to me. I give them my phone number.
Oh, that's nice.
And so,
you're a brave man.
So I give them my phone number. And when I give them my phone number, they have direct access to me. They can send me pictures. If they have questions about anything, I can give them direct feedback throughout the week before we meet for our 1 hour session. Like I said, the power of editing is cool. It's my work phone number. It's a Google phone. None of the notifications are, the only notification on is via text. The phone, the calling feature is off. You can't just call me willy nilly. So some people, I tried to call you, and I'm just like, I just don't accept calls like that.
Right.
So I don't, like, you can call me all you want, but I will call you.
Right.
If I need to. So, but yeah, so I do give them my phone number.
I like that.
Yeah. And what it does give them a sense of like, oh my God, like, he is a real person. He's not a scam, because I've dealt with people who have gotten scammed, and it's a twofold. I blame the scammers because the scammers are preying on their emotions, but then I also blame the person that got scammed because they allowed their emotions to dictate a decision to where they tried to cheat their way to the top.
Right. That's right.
And I don't like that at all. I don't like. I'm like, well, I'm glad you got scammed. Sorry.
Right. Take 100% responsibility for your action. That's right.
It's called accountability, and if you don't have it, you're gonna have a hard time being a nurse.
Right. That's right. That's right. So I know you shared a couple, but can you share feedback or testimonials from people you successfully coached?
Okay. I have one gentleman. His name is Kadeem. He's an LPN right now. He actually reached out to me probably like 6 months before he started the program. I coached him. He passed on his first attempt.
Yeah.
My next one would be Helen, who they actually went to. They were in the same program together. She reached out to me. and I helped her get through her NCLEX. She worked with me for 30 days. Very, very smart young lady. And she actually left a review for me, a video testimonial, and that's up on my YouTube channel as well. And she passed her NCLEX in, I believe it was 150 questions, but on her first attempt. And then the other one I have is Stacy. She's the one who took her NCLEX on her 12th attempt. People could not believe that. I had so many people that were dogging her, and I was just like, y'all are dogging her, but she's still a nurse.
Right. She got a license. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm not opposed to it. I hate that people spend all that money.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's our system that we've created that have failed the nurses and put them in this position.
Yeah, 100%. Then I have Jason, who is a registered nurse, who actually is in the Air Force Reserves right now, and he's trying to go back active duty. He reached out to me. I coached him right after he graduated school, and I coached him for about 2 weeks. And then probably on that third week, he had his test date, and he took it, and he passed on his first attempt. So, there's tons and tons of testimonials that I have on my website, as well as that I post on social media, as well as on my YouTube channel, of all those people that I've helped. So if you failed one time, or if you failed 11 times, anything in between,
or if you want to study before the damn NCLEX and be successful the first time,
correct
you as well.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Kadeem did. That's exactly what Helen did. That's exactly what Jason did. So
because they pay UWorld, and I don't know them all, but you do, but they pay all these other companies that are big corporate conglomerates. Why not help a small business person who's already got proven track record and study with somebody that's real?
And that's what it is because, a lot of these programs are integrated into their nursing programs,
right.
Or they're just like, hey, just do this. But not everybody learns the same.
Right.
So not everybody learns the same. So
use Kevin. All right. So what specific services do you offer students who may need more focused help in certain areas? Like,
what do you mean exactly? Like, can you elaborate?
So I wrote down, what specific services do you have? Like, if somebody needs extra help, do you have a way to give them extra help?
So,
what if somebody's language is not? What if English is not their first language and they have a hard time? Because I get a lot of nurses who who English is not their primary language. Do you have a way to help them?
So I actually have. Here's one thing, and this is one thing I do like, is that if I don't understand, like if you're having a hard time understanding languages, I will point you in a direction of somebody who can essentially help you break those down, who English is not their first language, but who also is a good coach for questions and mentorship as well. But if that's not something that they want and they want to work with me, one of the biggest things, especially when it comes to language barriers, I want for them to actually do coaching with me, because I could sit here and explain it to them, via DM or via an email, which is incredibly hard to do. But I would rather, it's easier for us to be face to face. And I'm like, hey, let's talk about these words. Let's talk about this, because the language barrier and converting from whatever language that is to English, and then trying to interpret that based off of what the question is asking you, that's a very hard thing to do. And I'm not saying that it's not impossible or it's possible to do. It's a lot easier for me to just be like, okay, so let's think about it like this. And, like I know that, Spanish is your first language, but let's think about it like this, and so on and so forth. So those are a couple of the services. Like I said, it's the coaching and the mentoring. If that's not something that you're interested in, I have my 7-day NCLEX course, which is on demand course. I have eBooks. We have free websites. We have free downloads. We have tons and tons of things that are available to you, for whatever needs that you may have.
So how can potential clients connect with you or sign up for your NCLEX coaching program?
So I am all over the social medias. Like you can find me on TikTok at The Boot Nurse. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at The Boot Nurse. You can find my my coaching program at thebootnurse.com/coaching. I require all of my coaching students, or I require anybody that is remotely interested in coaching, to fill out a questionnaire, because I want to know a little bit about you. And once you fill that questionnaire out, you can schedule a call with me. And then we can go through the questionnaire, talk about coaching, if coaching is right for you, or if you're a right fit, or if we're a right fit for one another. And then we just,
so you basically, I just heard you say you basically I don't like the word, but it is what it is. You pre-screen potential clients to make sure you're both a fit, so that way they know you're not trying to scam them, and
Correct.
They can't say you're just taking their money, and you Correct. Can see, you give them an upfront view of what Kevin's going to do, so they can't say they didn't know what the hell they were getting into.
Correct. 95% of people that come to me come from TikTok. 95% of them come from TikTok. I've already seen.
I found your ass.
You know what I'm saying? And so I've had people come out to me and they were just like, "You're a scam," and I was just like, "Yeah, but you found me on TikTok." I was like, I go live. I've been going live on TikTok almost 2 years.
Right.
And I was like, like if you're not seeking help, then just say that.
Yeah, why would you call it a scam? I mean, what is it that you're scamming people?
Like I'll give you a really good example, and this is something that I learned while I was on my entrepreneurial journey. I started coaching in 2020. I coached people for free for 2 years. For 2 years. And then what really happened, what was the nail in the coffin, was I had 5 people lined up in one day, and then none of them showed up.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And so I was just like, all right, so there's the end of that. I was just like, because obviously you don't value my time, right, and you want to waste it. So then that's when I started putting a price behind it. And then when I put a price behind it, that's when the numbers actually just dwindle. And I was just like, well, now we're going to see if who's ready for it. And over time, I've gotten better at doing that, which is why I put the questionnaire there, which is why I ask the questions that I ask, which is why, the services for me to coach you aren't free, is because I go very much I get all in your business.
Right.
Like you ever heard that term, shit happens when you're trauma naked?
Right.
Right. And so it's just like, because when you're trauma naked, you don't care. People are all in your business. Me, right. I'm very intrusive. I'm gonna be all up in your business. I want to know what you got going on, because I am investing all of my time into helping you do the one thing that you came to me to, and that's to help get you a license.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I mean, I can't deny that you shouldn't do that. All right, so what advice would you give nursing schools or instructors looking to enhance their students' NCLEX pass rate? So
hire me.
Right. I agree.
Hey, listen, if any nursing schools are interested in, looking to enhance their NCLEX pass rate with their students, I am available to do that for you.
I like that. So tell people where. So I'll put in the links and stuff, but make sure we put in make sure we put in the websites for Kevin's. His. I don't know if you have a website, but I'm sure you do.
I do.
Put in the links for the website. Put in the links for the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of your social media, so that way people can find you. Anything you would like to leave us before we finish? Because that was it. That's all the questions I had.
Man, we hit right at the hour and a half mark. I'm cool with that.
All right.
But
did we go too long?
No, man. I've been on podcasts that have been like 2 to 3 hours long. We're good.
Jane always busts my balls because she said an hour is too long.
And honestly, it depends on what we're talking about. I mean, if she goes through and she edits this whole thing, it'd probably be less than an hour.
Right.
So
she's good at what she does, so she makes me look good. So
that's good. That's good, man. I make me look good too, please.
She will make us look good, Jane. Kevin needs love.
But the one thing that I would leave all the students with is to remember why you said you wanted to become a nurse. Like, remember your why. And I would hope the why has to do with you and you alone. You don't become a nurse because you want to, you do it. You don't become a nurse and say, I did it for my kids.
Right.
You don't become a nurse and say, I wanted to follow in my so-and-so's footsteps. Like, you become a nurse because you made the conscious decision that something that you had experienced in life led you to you opening up your mouth and say, I want to be a nurse.
Right.
Now, the byproduct of that, or I'm sorry, now your children and everyone else, they reap the benefits of you accomplishing that goal.
Right.
Your kids don't care what you do.
Right.
Your grandma don't care what you do.
Right.
As long as you do what you said that you wanted to do, which was become a nurse, so you can take care of you and other people. Notice how I say you a lot, because you are the most important piece in the puzzle. So that's what I would say, is to remember your why, and to always push through the finish line, because nobody starts a marathon and no one starts a marathon to not finish it.
Right. That's true. All right. So I appreciate you, Mr. Kevin. There's not enough Kevins in the world, but remember Kevin, the boot nurse. Visit him on TikTok, Instagram.
That's right.
And I appreciate you guys for visiting us at the Transformation Nurse Academy podcast. All right, you guys. I love you. Peace out.
Later.
See you later, bitches.
All right, man.
Don't miss out. Engage with us weekly. Share your thoughts, and let's transform the nursing landscape together.